We are getting towards the finale of this opening T6TC Championship. I practiced that before we started the stream. The T6TC Championship here on rFactor, through the first season, of course, that we are doing in T6 Motorsport here on rFactor 2, and there's only 3 rounds to go to decide who's going to be taking home the title in what has been a thrilling championship battle so far. Luke Mitchell comes into tonight with the lead ahead of Gasper Marak, but there's not much between them. Delighted to have your company here on the T6 Motorsport YouTube channel. My name is Darragh Thacker. As always, I am joined, well, as always now I should say, I am joined by Ashley. I'm delighted you're here, Ashley. This is going to be a great race. Spa-Francorchamp, it's such an iconic circuit. The lap's going to be pretty long, and overtaking is probably going to be coming at a premium tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see there, 7 kilometres long, 4.3 miles. It is a lengthy circuit. Probably only going to get about 10 laps of racing per race, simply because you are looking at, I think, just under 2.5 minutes per lap for these guys in these cars at the top level. So it'll be interesting to see. But like you say, overtaking a bit of a premium. There are a good few corners on this circuit to do so, and it is certainly wide enough to go side by side here. So thanks for having me here once again, Darragh, and everyone else. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it.
No, thank you. I mean, at least you at the very least, are saving my voice a touch tonight. But we are going to be getting excited about this championship battle. Luke Mitchell has a 19-point advantage over Gasper Marak coming into this round. It's not the widest of margins. It's within a race, a win. So really, Luke Mitchell has to be on it tonight as Marak has closed that gap. Callum Cripps is 50 points back, but still really in the battle with 111 after he put on some really good performances in the last few weeks. 4 wins from the last 5 races, and he has shot himself into contention. Alan Axon and Bobby Bakinov, good consistent performances, have got them in 4th and 5th, with Antonis Paparinopoulos in P6. Paparinopoulos, though, will be facing a qualifying ban tonight. Tom Hackett hasn't been here for a few weeks. He's still in 7th, along with Anton Temenga. Let's see if he can try and get himself towards the top 5 of the championship tonight. Ollie Kayan-Lati and Callum Wilson complete our top 10, with Stu Neal, David Zerbez and Reda Upalau, our top 13 drivers in the championship. There's more drivers to come, starting with Simon Trebek, who's P14. Jordan Osborne is in P15, who I also believe has a qualifying ban tonight. Jamie Potts and Hero Calleja, 16th and 17th. They're on 25 points ahead of Sam Batters, George Prieto and Yaroslav Fides. John Pound, the only other driver on positive figures. Willem Westerhoff yet to get off the mark. Paul Amos, Emmanuel Lopez, Jason Taylor and Samuel Newhouse have a little bit of work to do to get themselves above the water level. So this is going to be an exciting race, no doubt about it. We've had great qualifying sessions and great opening races. The second race has really proved pivotal, though, in the championship. Of course, with the reverse grid element, we've really seen some certain drivers be able to really perform well in those races. Callum Cripps has 2 wins and a 2nd place in the 4 races that he has attended, or in the 4 rounds that he said in those second races. So really someone to watch out for in those reverse grids. It isn't necessarily the case that if you get pole, you can run away in the lead. You're going to be able to work your way back through the order when we get through to the reverse grid in the race number 2, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. It is crucial, though, those second races, as you've just said and pointed out. But it's simply because you know it is another choice for points, another opportunity. Sorry, 4 points. So yeah, you want to work your way back up, of course, to gain as many as you can. And like you said, Callum Cripps in the last few rounds has done that too. Literally perfection, you would say, because he's had 4 wins from 5 races and a 2nd just to round it off in that 5th one as well. So he really has been making the most of his opportunities presented in front of him. And it, you know, the likes of Gasper Marak, Luke Mitchell, they you know, particularly Luke Mitchell, he had such a strong form at the beginning of this season. In the last few rounds, he's been there consistently at the top, but not on that top step. He's only had 2 podiums in the last 5 rounds himself. So he's a little bit on the back foot. Marak's been closing in, and obviously Callum Cripps has been on an absolute charge. So once again, I'm going to be watching Callum Cripps because he's currently on provisional pole, and he's still on an absolute flyer.
Yeah, going 2 minutes 24, which is seemingly a very, very quick time. Luke Mitchell not far behind, though, when you're considering that the lap is as long as it is. A 10th and a half really is a drop in the ocean. So there is going to be, I think, a hard-fought battle throughout this race number 1. But for Cripps, this would be his first pole of the season. Yes, he's won 4 races in a row, 4 out of 5 coming into tonight, but he's not quite got himself on pole position at any point so far this season, so he would like to start from the front, I'm sure, tonight. John Pound through the final couple of corners. He's improving. He's nearly 4 seconds down, as is the field spread, thanks to the length of the circuit, but John Pound can improve. Oh no, that was someone else improving. Pound does improve. Oh no, he doesn't improve. There's drivers improving everywhere around him. I think Gasman Rack was one of them. He and Callum Wilson for row number 2. There's only 2 thousandths between them at the moment.
Yeah, and not a lot of time between them, like you just said. But and again, it is a wide field spread because it is such a long circuit. I mentioned it earlier, about 2.5 minutes. I think that's more race pace I'm talking about. In qualifying here, because they take all the fuel out, put on the softest compound of tyres, and just rag the car to hell to try and extract as much time as possible. Here comes Jamie Potts to the line now. What can he do then for this timed run? Where does that put him? He's jumped. Oh, I'm trying to find him there. He's jumped up to 10th position, so not an awful lap. He's right in the mix, and he's got quite a few cars there keeping him company as well.
Drivers really going to have to be on their laps now, because of course we've only got 1 minute 40 on the clock. 2:24 is the lap time for Callum Cripps, but that might be improving. Purple to the first sector, and we'll see if he can eke himself, I should say, a little bit away from the rest of the pack. Antonis Paparinopoulos is on a lap coming towards the final couple of corners. Now you can see with the little track map on the top right hand corner, I have to say, very useful little addition, and a big thanks to Rich for chucking that in. We'll see what Paparinopoulos can do to set his first lap, although I thought he had a qualifying ban, so we'll see on that one. He's gone to P5. But come back to me on that one, because I was under the impression that he had a qualifying ban. He may not have done, or he may have just not listened to those requests. Either way, he's up into P5. We'll see what he can do from there.
Yeah, I can confirm it was stated he was meant to be serving a qualifying ban along with Osborne there, who is in 19th in the pits. I don't think we'll see him out at all. Clearly did get the memo, unlike Paparinopoulos. But he's in 5th. He's in a good position there at least. And I'm not sure what the punishment will be for not serving that ban. Maybe it will just carry over, or maybe he'll have to serve it twice. Who knows? Depends how the stewards deem that sort of infringement on this. But good lap nonetheless. We're riding on board here now with Callum Cripps. Gone purple in the first 2 sectors. Only 1 sector left. And of course now riding through Blanchemont. Tricky little corner there. You have a slight lift. Myself, I did some laps here earlier to try and get an idea of what these drivers are going to be doing and experiencing during this race. For me, it was a little bit tricky to navigate because he's slight lift off because you don't want to run it wide and get yourself a track warning and invalidate the lap. But Callum Cripps to the line, what's it going to be?
Is it an improvement? You bet it is. 24.399, puts himself nearly half a second clear of everybody else. A few more drivers still running themselves to the end of the lap. You can see that there's almost a bunch of them running up towards the line. Keep an eye for Jason Taylor as he crosses the line. P15 for now, but he won't be improving. Next, I think it'll be Potts to finish his lap time as we look for the tower to maybe change, but I think he'll stay where he is, and indeed he does, even though it's a slight improvement. Alan Axon, though, across the line, P8 for the time being. Where can the driver who's fighting in the top 5 in the championship go? It's P7 in the end, and a decent lap time to see him where he is. We've only got one more driver, actually. It's Anton Tomenga, and he's just coming through Puon. Before I hand over to you, I will quickly say Rich has come back to us on Antonis Paparinopoulos' failure to serve a qualifying ban, and it will be carried over, and he will achieve some additional licence points. So it's not good news for Paparinopoulos.
It's not good news, but at least it's not doubled up as I suggested. I think that would be extra harsh, of course, but fair enough. You know, maybe he didn't quite get the memo and forgot about it, but he's in a good position to still pick up some points at least, so he'll have that under his belt and he'll take that forward regardless of him having to serve it at the next round, which I believe is Sachsenring, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll get back to this then. First of all, we've got Tomenga here, currently 18th. He is setting personal best for himself, but I think this is going to be his one and only run. Left it right to the end to see where he can put his car then. Through the bus stop chicane he goes now, tries to get on the power as early as you dare out of the final corner. Use as much of that exit curve as you like, because it's not going to cause you an issue. Up to the line now then. Where does he go? 7th. That's not that bad. Right in the mix.
Yeah, pretty good lap time from Anton Semenga, and almost exactly where he is in the championship. P7, yeah, well it is. P7 in the championship, P7 in qualifying. Here are the qualifying results then, as we get towards race number 1. Callum Cripps gets an extra point for pole. His gap to the championship leader Luke Mitchell is now close to 49 points, which is a real close on where it was after Donington in round 2. Luke Mitchell is in P2, and he's the only other driver to get within a second of the pole time. Callum Wilson and Gasper Morak are on row number 2. Morak will need a couple of positions to keep himself in title contention, with Antonis Paparanopoulos and Bobby Vakinov making up row number 3. Temenga and Alan Axon, they've been the two missing consistencies so far this season, and the teammates at Unlimited Esports will find themselves on row number 4. Ali Kayan Lati and Simon Trebek rounding out our top 10. The rest of the grid composed of Yaroslav Fides and Jimmy Potts on row number 6. Not much to separate them, just 100th. But they're ahead of Raider Uhalal and Samuel Newhouse, as they are just about in the point scoring positions. John Pound is in P15 and will be hoping to keep himself there, with Jason Taylor, David Zoes, Paul Amos and Jordan Osborne currently on the outside looking in to what could be some decent points for them this evening. But really looking forward to getting ourselves into this race at Spa. Full formation lap means that we are going to have an age and a day to get ourselves ready for this race. Actually, I suspect we've got about 5 minutes before we go green flag racing. And it gives us an opportunity to kind of talk through where we are in the championship. Of course, we've got Luke Mitchell and Kasparak 1 and 2. But really, Callum Cripps is the resurgent force for the time being. After the first 2 rounds, Luke Mitchell found himself on, 68 points. Callum Cripps had 4. And Cripps has been closing that gap slowly but surely all the way up to this point. It's just a case of can he gain enough points? Because with the winner's bonus here not being too big, he's really going to have to hope that Luke Mitchell has a couple of mares towards the end of the season.
Yeah, that is what he is going to be having to hope for. Of course, he has also missed a round. He wasn't here for Donington. So if you could imagine, if Callum Cripps has been here fighting for every single round of this championship, you've got to imagine he would be right up there in between these two, potentially Morak and Mitchell, the ones I'm referring to. Because in terms of consistency, from returning after Donington, he has just been on absolute flying form. And he's putting on the show once again this evening. He's just taken pole position to help close that gap even further. And Mitchell, of course, he's second on the road, but I'm not quite sure where Morak ended up in the end just there. Can't quite remember it off the top of my head. But the one thing I will say, though, Darragh, pole position at this circuit, it's not the be-all or end-all. And I say that because you have such a long run up that Kemmel Straight after El Rouge Radion. That slipstream effect's going to be rather large, and a good opportunity at the end of it into Les Combes. Heavy braking zone. Definitely going to see some cars going side by side there on lap 1.
How long is it just going to feel? I mean, it feels long enough in some of the fastest machinery on the world, but in these, little touring cars, it feels extra long to get yourself down from the source all the way to Les Combes. You're talking about, you're nearing a minute, probably more like 45 seconds down between turn 1 and what is officially turn number 6. But you're right in saying it's going to be a good overtaking opportunity. I don't think that Callum Cripps is going to feel too safe at the front. Morak, of course, starting from 4th, so a decent position, especially if he can pick off one driver going into turn number 1. So we'll see how he can work it through. And another note on Callum Cripps is that at Imola in the opening round of the season, he picked up a 9-point deduction in the second race. So, you wipe that off, automatically the gap becomes 40 points, and he still finished in the top 5, in the top 4 even in the opening race. So, bar Donington Park and a couple of really poor results, which together got him to -3 points. He has been right there at the front and at the sharp end every single race, and really is a force to be reckoned with. But Luke Mitchell has just kind of been there. He hasn't won since Laguna Seca some 3 weeks ago, but he's been finishing in 4th, in 5th, in 2nd, in 3rd. He's just been there, picking up as many points as he really needs to, because like I say, the winner's bonus isn't massive here. You're not going to be gaining more than a handful of points by winning the race compared to your rivals if they can finish close to you. So it really is a case of he has to try and maximise everything he can, but he also has to hope for others to slip up with the point system that we do have.
Yeah, it certainly does. He's trying to imitate Max Verstappen quite clearly with that early lead. He managed to open up, and now he just seems to be on the back foot trying to defend it for this latter half so far. But he's doing a stellar job, and like we say, consistency does win you championships, because the ones that can get there day in, day out, live and breathe that sort of top half of the grid, they're going to be the ones that will bring home the silverware, bring home that prize money that they're also desperately fighting for. So it's going to be really interesting as we go into Sachsenring next week and even into the finale at Brands Hatch. I've got a funny feeling we could be seeing a nice showdown by the time we come back to one of the British classics. You know, not too far from myself when I was living in England. I don't think it's too far from you either, is it, Darragh?
I'm gonna say it's definitely closer to me right now than it is to you. But it's still not. It's still a decent way. It's still about about a couple of hours or so. Actually, it might be a little bit too
That's
long.
not
But the point
bad.
is, still a little ways away. Hey, if we were going to Snetterton, I'd be getting into the comms box ready for the actual race here. So, quite close as that. That's only about 20 minutes down the road from me. Myself and Zach Sweeney, who of course those of you who are regulars to the T6 Motorsport channel will know is with you on Sunday nights for the time being in the Super Touring Championship. We both live pretty near to Snetterton, so you know, if there's ever a T6 event, wink, we'll have to try and arrange it, even though I know Rich isn't anywhere near us. We'll try and arrange it for there, and drag you across the pond actually, which will be fun, wouldn't it? That'd be a great time.
Maybe I could drag you here. Who knows? I don't think actually. So Denmark has one race.
Oh no, you wouldn't have to drag me.
Okay. Well, I'll invite you then next time, I'm sure. Oh dear. Well, we're about to. We have the formation lap first of all, don't we, Darragh? So we'll see these cars all set off, not quite at the ferocious pace that you expect them going from the grid. That'll be next time around. So we'll have this formation lap. Might feel like an eternity, but it'll go quicker than you think. I think, you know, in terms of sort of Callum Cripps, I come back to him again because he is the man on pole. He's the man on the charge. For me, if he can get a good exit of turn 1 and a nice run up through El Rouge and Rabion, he's got a good chance of maintaining that lead towards Les Comp. But it's going to be so difficult, particularly if they're, you know, having a fight for position into that turn 1, getting side by side. It's going to obviously hold him up a bit and ruin his racing lines. But it's all to play for here, and it's going to be fascinating whatever happens.
It is, and it's going to be really intriguing to see what Antonis Paparanopoulos can do from the pit lane, as that is where he will be starting. I'm not too sure whether that'll have any impact on the qualifying section. In fact, I think it will. So he may have put himself a little bit away with it by starting in the pit lane. Maybe that was his plan all along. But either way, he'll start right at the back of the field. Luckily, he doesn't have to start and wait from the end of the other pit. I mean, there's 2 pit lanes here at Spa. There's one that you definitely wouldn't want to wait towards the end of because you'd be a long way behind the rest of the field. So I think he should be able to get out in the exit of turn number 1. So that should be good enough for him. But really, at the front, no one's going to be too bothered about Paparanopoulos. He shouldn't be involved in their races, at least in race number 1. It could be good news for the likes of Bobby Vakinov, though, who is in P5 in the championship and has been on a decent run of form of late, trying to get towards the top 4. Alan Axon currently occupying that spot. But generally what we love to see, actually, is the top drivers in the championship right at the front of the race, and that's going to be what we have tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we come here to see, really, isn't it? You know, seeing those top drivers constantly being at the front and then putting on a championship fight, and no doubt going to be a showdown as we go into the next couple of rounds as well. But we'll start here, first of all, at Spa in the Ardennes forest of Belgium. And of course, you know, nestled in this valley, if you like, you rise up quite high before it then drops away rather rapidly as well. I mean, you have a 35 meter elevation change just from El Rouge to Rabion from the bottom to top, so that can really give you a bit of perspective of how much this circuit undulates. But we're just on the backstretch now, so they'll be coming up to that start-finish line very shortly indeed. Only a couple more corners here. And then they'll be on the starting grid, getting ready, getting their nerves in check. Of course, wanting to nail that start of theirs. And I can tell you earlier, again, from experience, got in the car myself, trying to nail the start in these cars. I had a bit of trouble getting the clutch right, but I'm sure they've got it nailed by now. They're a good few rounds into this championship.
You'd hope that they'd have it pretty much nailed. But it is a difficult feat to manage. So this should be exciting. Quick look at the grid before we get going. We can, or maybe we will have a quick look at this as we run through. Cripps and Mitchell are on the front row with Callum Wilson and Gas Marak on row number 2. Of course, this is how they qualified just a couple of minutes ago. Then we have got Antonis Paparanopoulos, who won't start there, and Bobby Vakinov, Temenga and Axon, who are a little bit further back. But I think we're going to have everybody lining up onto the field. see how they can start. Kayalati, Trebek, Fies and Potts will be starting on rows 5 and rows 6. As we're about to go racing here, we have just enough time to see who is going to be getting the best launch. It's a bit of an aggressive angle from Luke Mitchell, but we're green here at Spa for one of the final rounds of the season, the T6 TC Championship here on rFactor 2, and it's going to be a very good start from Callum Cripps. Mrak around the outside, trying to get his anchor car all the way around the outside, not going to be able to do it. No, spin out. That's going to be Bobby Callum Wilson, I should say, going around at turn number 1. Luke Mitchell coming into contact with him as they find their way going down towards Eau Rouge and Radion. Mrak with a fantastic start though, wasn't involved in that collision, and will have the inside line up. Radion, oh, there's more contact though, and Mrak is into the wall. He's bouncing back across the road. He's collected. He is collected by Anton Temenga, and he has not held his brakes. And oh my word, a disaster as well for a couple of other drivers who have tumbled down the order. There's a going end over end. But Callum Cripps has got away from the rest, and he's just going to try and run away from the entire field at this point.
Oh my god, what have we just witnessed and seen before our eyes? Because I think that was Temenga potentially barrel rolling in the background there. You have Mrak with a big off, Samuels in the pits as well. Wilson obviously miles down the field. What just happened there, I do not know. I mean, for Callum Cripps, he's not going to think too much about it. He's got a nice advantage out front. Vakunov found his way through. So has Axon. Luke Mitchell's obviously dropped down. This is that championship swing we were referring to a minute ago, because Callum Cripps is in the lead. Luke Mitchell's dropped down, and obviously Mrak is out of this race as well already.
Disaster running for Gasper Mrak, because he is going to be scoring no points in this race, and he's going to be starting where he finishes in this race for race number 2, and it's going to be very difficult to pick up too much from there as well. So absolute disaster for Samuel Mrak and Temenga. Wilson almost got out of it a little bit luckily by spinning around in the manner that he did. Paparanopoulos already up to P14. What can he do from there? Great starts though from Jason Taylor, who kept his nose clean, started P16 up to P8 already. Paul Lemos started P18, kept his nose clean up to P11, but up near the front, Alan Axel and Kyan Larty started 8th and 9th, their 3rd and 4th, great launches from them.
Yeah, most of these cars, they should have gained some positions with those front runners, of course, being out of this race already. But yeah, it is a good start from a lot of these drivers. Jason Taylor, look at him in 8th position. He's up 8 positions, but we'll jump forward here to Kyan Larty, currently in P4, right up behind Alan Axon then towards this bus stop chicane. Doesn't look like a move is on just yet, but he could be lining him up for the source of turn number 1. If he can get a good exit here, there's a chance, but I think the best chance is really though is going to be up towards Lake Com at the end of that Kemmel straight. You really do need a good launch though through El Rouge and Radion. Is now back to Jordan Osborne, in 14th. He's looking in his wing mirrors as well as trying to maybe make a move in front.
A little bit frantic towards the back of the field now, of course, with pretty much every position garnering a point. Callum Wilson is in the only non-points paying position for the time being, with Samuel Newhouse, Gaston Rack and Anton Temenga out of the race already, and in quite spectacular fashion, it's fair to say. Quick little look up towards the top 10. Yaroslav Faidu, and it got caught up a little bit in that, only gained the 1 position off the line, whilst drivers around him gained far more. So he gained past the drivers who were, coming into incident, but he got overtaken by those who started around him, and he will have a little bit more work to do. P10, but we can really see that there are a little couple of groups forming. Is away, Vakinov is away, Axon is dragging along Kyan Larty and Mitchell, and then we've got this train for P6. So with those incidents, it really has spread out the field already in this race.
Yeah, I think that could be a little bit the story of this race. It's going to be a matter of who can manage their tyres better in that sort of manner, and then make a bit of a push towards the very end. We're riding on board here then with Simon Trebek, behind him Jason Taylor and Uhalau vying for position. We saw one of them going just a little bit sideways. I believe that was Uhalau towards that sort of turn 10, that hairpin then, which drops down quite far away from you. It's a bit of a patience game, that corner, when to put your foot back on the accelerator and try and get away, because if you go too soon, very easy to run wide. But all of them navigating it rather well. That's a car wide though. I think that was Uhalau once again potentially running a bit wide there out of the chicane. Keeps it just about on the tarmac and not into the gravel, crucially, but he would have lost a bit of momentum.
I think it was Jason Taylor actually going a little bit wide through Piff Path. Uhalau trying to get run at the back of him, of course, in that green car. Oh my word, contact! Oh, 2 more cars off the road. Oh, it's just the one. Have they held it? Oh, what a hold it is for Jamie Potts, that is. I cannot believe he has saved that car coming in towards Blanchimont. I was expecting him to absolutely career into the wall, but he's managed to keep it under control. Radio Halal now, who was going after Jason Taylor, is now having to defend a little bit from Yaroslav 5, but that was a big moment, and it came from some aggressive moves towards the outside at Blanchimont. Not something you see every day at this circuit.
No, absolutely not. Aggressive driving, though. I mean, normally that's what we like to see, but that's when you just go beyond the limit ever so slightly. Big contact and a slide, and I will say, fantastically held from the driver as well, because if it was me, I really do know I would have been facing the wall. But yeah, brilliant car control that we've just witnessed, and it's great to see that he's still in this race. Jordan Osborne here, P13, they're actually going to jump forward then to Luke Mitchell, P number 5. Callum Cripps is very much running away with this lead, but Luke Mitchell has still got some positions up for grabs here in front of him. You've got Kyan Larty, Axon, Vaginov, all very much in his sights. And, you know, if I'm Luke Mitchell, you're very much going to want to try and get as close as you can back to Callum Cripps to try and limitate some of that damage.
A damaging start has been for quite a few drivers overall. Amos now in the pit lane, meaning that I think pretty much everybody looking for points paying positions. Callum Wilson's on the back of John Pound, as Pound is on the back of Jordan Osborne. So a little bit of a train back there, and Wilson will back himself to get through, I am sure. Towards the front though, with Luke Mitchell, I don't think he'll be terribly impressed dropping down from a very good starting position of P2 all the way to P5, especially considering that Callum Cripps is now a long way up the road. His only consolation is going to be that he will be in the reverse grid if he stays where he is, but he's trying to make moves inside down into pit path. A little bit wide it was from Molikai and Larty, but Luke Mitchell has seen an opportunity. He's just chosen this moment to dive down the inside, going to go back around the outside, try and get the run to keep himself for the inside of the end of the second sector. It's difficult to really get a move done in these touring cars, but Luke Mitchell has completed it at the end of sector number 2. He will run through Paul Frere, and he will now be very much in P4 and chasing after a podium spot.
Absolutely, good opportunistic move. He saw Kyan Larty make the mistake out of Pillon, got a little bit wide and pounced right when he needed to and got the move done. So yeah, brilliant racecraft there from Luke Mitchell on show once again, and now he's got the chance to go chasing after Alon Axon for that podium and hopefully pick up some more points. But you know, P2's not, you know, out of the question here for Luke Mitchell. It's certainly on the cards. If we jump back here to the next group, we've got Jamie Potts in 8th. That's a mistake though from Jason Taylor in 7th. They're now going to be side by side on the exit then of the bus stop chicane. This battle's going to continue on down towards the source of turn number 1. I think Jamie Potts is going to get the traction and get ahead, but Jason Taylor might fight it back on the braking zone. Goes for that inside line massively, going for that apex. Jamie Potts back up and under, nice and easy for Jamie Potts there. And it was ambitious from Jason Taylor, but yeah, very well done, and kept his nerve, did Jamie.
Far too late there was Jason Taylor, and he will find himself now really under pressure from Reda Uhalal and Yaroslav 5. A couple of drivers who haven't necessarily had the best of seasons with some good top 10 results. Uhalal has only been in the top 10 3 times. Yaroslav 5 has only been in the top 10 once, so this could be some really crucial points against Jason Taylor, who hasn't been in the top 10 at all, I don't believe. Looking down the order, no. So this is some really crucial points for all of these drivers, and keep the best results of the season. They're not going to give it easy to each other as they work their way through this middle sector, because Rodeo Halal knows that even though he's not really in too much of a championship battle, the drivers that he's around are the likes of David Zoes, Stu Neal, Callum Wilson, who aren't picking up many points for the time being either. So this is a good opportunity, and you're going to want to take it, especially considering a reverse grid upcoming.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be, I think, a bit of a crucial point here. That reverse grid. How many drivers are we going to see be flipped around? Correct me if I'm wrong here, Darragh. It's from 6 to 12 is the options available, yes, depending on what the wheel says. So that's going to be interesting. And I will say, you know, for Paparanopoulos, currently P11, he's got a bit of a challenge to try and get to fight. But he'll be hoping for that larger end of the scale, of course, to flip the reverse grid. Because then he's starting right at the front for this second race. So he's having a pretty good time. But yeah, Ulau here still in the fight for 9th. Jason Taylor, Jamie Potts and Fides as well in this 4-way battle. And as I think Jason Taylor's going to have a pretty good run here on Jamie Potts.
Let's see, around the outside goes, that is going to be Jamie Potts on Jason Taylor. Can he get this one done? Oh, a little bit of a wiggle as they make their way towards Blanchimont. This really fast left-hander. Hang on to the car as he gets towards the bus stop chicane. Rado Halal looking to try and pick up the pieces. But Potts looking to dive up the inside, but that line is shut off by Taylor, who goes deep. He's all out of shape into the final turn. He's off the road. He's surely going to have to give up a position or two here to his rivals for cutting across the chicane. He's lost one now to Jamie Potts, and here comes Raider Halal inside line for the green and yellow machine as they work their way in towards the source at turn number 1. He should claim the apex, which he does. Taylor tries to find it around the outside, but Halal has the confidence and he has the line. He has P8 as well.
Yeah, it's a shame there for Taylor because he had a good move on Jamie Potts through Blanchimont, got the run out of Stavolo, and it just all went wrong into that bus stop. Just couldn't find his braking zone. Funny enough, it's down on my notes, the braking zone there for the bus stop. It's quite a tricky one to spot, particularly if you are racing with somebody. There's not many markers around that area, so finding your braking zone can be pretty tricky. But yeah, Jason Taylor unfortunately got it a little bit wrong on that occasion, and the other guys around him just getting it right. But here's Luke Mitchell up to the back there then of Alan Axon. He's closed the gap in, and he's now going to try and fight for this podium spot. Not going to find a way around there of turn number 10, maybe through No Name Corner up the inside. Doesn't go for it on this occasion. Once again, it's a tricky corner. It's a bit deceiving. It comes away from you as it goes down the hill, and you can easily run wide. But he's got a good run here around the outside of Pouon. Here we go, and gets ahead as well. Love that from Luke Mitchell.
Yeah, incredibly important as well for his race to get himself up into P3, and Alan Axon didn't have much of a reply. But when you're going around Pouon trying to make a move, there's not really much you can do apart from, you know, clap your hands and say well done, because that is a fantastic overtake from our championship leader, who now chases after Bobby Vakinov, looking for his first podium in 4 races, and himself looking to close the gap on Alan Axon. Callum Cripps is a driver that isn't too far ahead of Bobby Vakinov in the championship. Get a little bit further away at this rate. 4.5 seconds nearly in the lead of this race. And he's not really going to be looking back, I don't think. He just has to cruise this one home to the end of the race.
Yeah, he'll be keeping an eye on the gap. Every driver does. You know, you want to be able to respond if you need to, but he's very much got a handle on this race, has Callum Cripps. So it's a good start. It's what he needed. And of course, with the unfortunate incident that we saw at the very beginning between Murak, Mitchell, Tenenga as well, getting caught up in it, you know, it's given him a good chance to really close that gap in this championship. Of course, we've still got another race to come after this one to see how that championship shapes out even further. But Paparanopoulos here, he's managed to get into P10 ahead of Fides now, and he's right on the back of Taylor. So Paparanopoulos having a very good, strong race starting from pit lane. He's now up to 10th. I think that's going to be deep again from Taylor. So this might be another chance then for Paparanopoulos up towards El Rouge.
Yeah, let's see if the driver sort of in the pit lane can get himself towards the top 9. Every single position increases his chances of being involved in that reverse grid, which we will find out in the next few minutes. Close up the hill, up the hill, side by side between Paparanopoulos and Jason Taylor. I think it's just going to be Taylor that comes out on top. But here comes Yaroslav Fides as well. Paparanopoulos was looking to try and get after Raider Halal by the end of this straight. All of a sudden, he's got 2 cars between them as they work their way in towards Lacon. Paparanopoulos on the inside line. Can he get this one stopped? Yes, he can, and he's going to control his line into P10. But for a moment there, it really looked like Paparanopoulos was under a heap of pressure, which he was, but lucky that he didn't come off worse in that scenario.
Well, it was almost a carbon copy of what we saw in lap number 1 between Paparanopoulos, Jason Taylor. Of course, this time around, though, were able to go side by side and not cause contact. I'll come back to that in a minute because they're still fighting for this position very hard indeed. Jason Taylor is going to go slightly deeper as Paparanopoulos does the up and under. He's now going to have that inside line for Pouon Corner. This should be nice and easy for Paparanopoulos now. Just slightly later on the brakes, just get ahead of Jason Taylor, and easy as you like, picks that position up for 9th, and he's going to go chasing after Halal. Yeah, another good move though for Paparanopoulos, and increasing his chances of that reversed grid.
But we will find out how many drivers are in that reverse grid pretty soon. I'm keeping an eye on that announcements channel to let you know as soon as it is announced. But it should be in a couple of minutes' time. Well, I do have a quick look at the track. I will say that earlier, Callum Wilson did say that the track limits are a joke, obviously with a slight jest in there as well, but it is difficult on track limits here. You really are pushing the limits of the circuit, and when there's no real, almost natural barrier to the edge of the circuit, you know, like grass, like gravel, it really encourages you to push as hard as you can to the outside line. It's not like Imola that we had at the start of the season, and it means that drivers are more likely to maybe pick up an off-track or two. Side by side into the final corner though, for P10, Jason Taylor fighting with Callum Wilson as they get towards turn 1. Callum Wilson all the way around the outside of the second part of the chicane means they'll have the inside line for turn number 1, and he should easily control that one. Little bit of contact as they make their way into the corner. Looked like Callum Wilson was coming back a little bit across towards the racing line. There's a little bit more contact as Yaroslav 5 joins the conversation, but they all make it through, and it's Papanopoulos now back through.
Absolutely, that was a little bit of door banging racing there. There's nothing wrong with that though. He got the move done, had the inside line, controlled the corner, and you know, he made sure he hit the apex in control of the car. That's the very crucial thing with this kind of racing. You don't want to be using your opponent as a brake, and he definitely didn't do that. But here comes Papanopoulos though on Uhalau then for 8th position up towards Lake Con. We may see Uhalau fight back on braking, but not on this occasion. The run was just too strong from Papanopoulos. Got the move done before the braking zone and picked up 8th position. That's now, I believe, 12 positions gained then, or sorry, I'll correct myself, 11. We haven't got 20 drivers, we've only got 19. 11 positions gained from Papanopoulos because he did have that pit lane start.
Next target being Jamie Potts. It's going to be difficult to get his way past there. I guess he's only about a second and a half behind. There is still nearly 9 minutes on the clock. And with us going, at about, 2 minutes 25 or so, it looks like we're likely to be getting maybe a 4th lap after this. Going to be close regardless. When we cross the line, we will be able to look and find out. Through the end of the second sector, we will follow Kayan Lati and Alan Axon in their battle for P4. They've got quite a nice gap back to Simon Tribeck, who's all on his own in this race. And he's very quietly been going about his business in P6. These are good points for Simon Tribeck. Only a few top 10 so far this season. Could shoot him up a couple of places in the championship.
Yeah, it'd be a good points haul for Simon if he can hang on to it. He's going to have a bit of a job here. Sorry, not a job here. This is Kayan Lati on Alan Axon. Apologies for 4th position. But yeah, Simon Tribeck still, though, 6th. He is having a good race, so it is a nice points haul for him nonetheless. But this battle currently we are looking at is for P4 in this race. That's one of those corners there, Darragh, the exit of the bus stop, where you can quite easily run the car a little bit too wide and pick up some of those warnings. You've also got a Rouge Radion, Blanchemont is another one, and I think No Name Corner, turn 11, that left-hander as you then come steeping down the hill towards Puwan. It's another one of those corners where you can run it just a bit wide and it will pick up that track warning. So those are the corners the drivers need to keep an eye on and look out for. Here's another one here, as I say, very easy to get all over the curb and cut it a bit too much, but they're settling down a little bit. I say that as we jump back to Jason Taylor, Yaroslav Fides. They're maybe going to go side by side up El Rouge.
Yeah, Eau Rouge is a difficult place to go side by side, and they just about sort themselves out before they rise over the crest. Meanwhile, you can see just up in front, Roda Uhalal is under pressure from Callum Wilson going around the outside. Looks like Fides is trying to cover off the racing line, but he's going to have to maybe defend an inside line soon as Jason Taylor looks to try and find his way through. We did see that Callum Wilson is now up into P9, and Fides is going to be able to hold off Jason Taylor for the time being as they make their way through the frame. So no change towards the position for P11 and 12, but Jordan Osborne's arriving on the scene. He wouldn't mind getting an extra position.
No, he certainly wouldn't. He'd be happy picking that one up. He also had to serve a qualifying ban then, so he's actually gained quite a few positions too in this race. So he's having it's not too bad for him. I think if all the drivers do get to the end, there's 15 drivers still in this race from what I can see on the tower. They'll all pick up a point, so points for everybody, providing you do see that checkered flag. And for someone like Jason Taylor, for example, he picked up a point in each race at Istanbul. Apart from that, he has been struggling a little bit for points. So if he can, even if he does pick up 12, that's some tally that he can add up and work with and finally get off the mark for him. So it's good for all these guys towards the lower end of the field. It gives them an opportunity to see how they can progress in this championship.
Stay in the top 12 though, of course, with that being the cut-off for the reverse grid. Axon getting squeezed to the inside before they just about get to Blanchimont. He was kicking up a little bit of dirt, as was Kayan Lati as he made his way through the ever-tightening left at Blanchimont. Axel, no answer into the bus stop chicane, but we'll see if he can make any moves in the near future. You could just about see Simon Trebek in the background making his way around the final couple of corners on his own for the time being. 5 minutes 15 left. I really think we're going to be getting 3 more laps to go here. I can't see us having 2 laps to the end. This is going to be quite an exciting race. Now, we have had news on the reverse grid, and it's not good news if you are anywhere from Jamie Potts down, because it's only going to be a top 6 reversal. So Simon Trebek, at the moment, if he keeps it on the road, is in a great position to get reverse grid pole.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think he should do. He's got that gap, that buffer between him and Jamie Potts, which is the current battle we're looking at here between him and Paparanopoulos. This is for P7, of course. And for him, brilliant that he does get that reverse pole, and of course Potts, Paparanopoulos are just going to miss out, which is a real shame, but they're still in a good spot in 7th and 8th because they're on this circuit. We've seen already there's so many chances to actually get a move done and overtake. And speaking of that, Alan Axon trying to find his way back past Kyan Marty into Les Combes, now through Bruges of turn number 10, and doesn't manage to get away past this time. But even if you are Potts, Paparanopoulos, you're not getting that reverse grid pole, I don't think I'd worry too much because there does seem to be opportunities on show here.
Oh, but you don't really want to be able to, almost try and rely on having an opportunity towards the end of the race, because at Spa, yes, you can get these opportunities, but at the very same time, with the length of the straights, time can evaporate in front of your eyes. I mean, it isn't quite the fast, the really fast circuit with corners, where corners keep coming at you. Somewhere like Aragon, where we've been before in T6, where every single corner is an overtaking opportunity, and there's a corner every 5 seconds, so you've really got to be on your toes there. Here, you get a little bit more time and a little bit more breathing room, but it gives you a little bit more time to think about how you're going to address these moves. You're going to defend, you're going to attack, how are you going to go about that? So, it's a very particular circuit, and not something we're going to be seeing in the last 2 rounds at Saxon's Ring and Brands Hatch. Of course, Brands will be quite a technical circuit, and perfect for these cars because these are BTCC cars, and it'll be the first time we go to a BTCC, second time after Dunno, I should say, we go to a BTCC circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's more methodical is the word you're looking for with this kind of racing, because you do have those longer straights to defend and think about it. But here goes Paparanopoulos. He's got the move done, and Jamie Potts though. Here comes Callum Wilson getting in on the party as well, and he's managed to get past Halau a few laps ago, and now this has become a three-way battle for P number 7. Jamie Potts doing everything to try and defend from the second car. Of course, Paparanopoulos did manage to find a way through. Can Jamie Potts defend into La Source from Callum Wilson? I don't think he's going to be able to. Callum seems to have gotten through. Jamie Potts has lost 2 positions in the space of a couple of corners. Shame for him, but these two getting through, they'll be happy about that, and now they've just got to defend it. But I believe for this final lap,
it could be the final lap. I think we're going to be going one more, because we're going to see Callum Cripps cross the line before, before the end of the clock. So this could be, it's going to be close, but I think he's going to do it, even if these guys back here don't, which is the key point. Yeah, he's already down at Bruxelles, so he should get to the line in time. Here is Axon fighting with Kyan Larty. Whoever loses out in this battle will start on the front row for race number 2, as they work their way through the long right-hander at Bruxelles, down the hill towards No Name Corner or Speaker's Corner. I think there's another couple of names as well. That's another one of the features of this circuit, is every single corner has about 3 names. Down here at Pouon or Double Gauche, double left, for those of you who know too much French. And then you've got Piff Paff or Campus. There's about 5 different names for each set of corners on this circuit, and it's almost a pick and mix, isn't it?
does feel a little bit like that. I'm glad your French is up to par, because mine certainly isn't. Fair play on the pronunciation as well, it sounded pretty good. Here's Alan Axton though, still trying to get past Kyan Larty then for that P4 spot that he lost a few laps ago as well, and he's on what looks to be a pretty good run here. The gap 0.2 tenths of a second. That's wide though, out of Stavolo and onto this back straight. Can he hold that momentum though up towards Blanchimont and into the bus stop chicane? That's going to be where the chances are going to be had. But I think he's just dropped back a little bit. I think Kyan Larty may have got a slightly better drive. Through Blanchimont they go, and that gap is slightly increasing for Axon. I don't think he's going to have a chance here.
No, he's going to have to sit behind and wait as we do go on to the final lap. It's actually not very close at all. Callum Cripps has got it by pretty much half a minute, so we're going to be going round for one more tour of this circuit. But can Axon get past Kyan Larty? Will he want to just think, well, will he think, okay, yeah, it's going to look a little bit tough, I'll just take starting P2, or will he pick up the points, try and pick up the points and finish inside the top 4? Paparinopoulos now in P7, he'll be gutted about being in P7, because obviously he will feel like without a qualifying ban it could have been so much more, and even if the wheel gave him anything else, P7, P8, P9, P10, P12, he'd be starting in a better position than P7, so he'll be gutted, but he's got to hold off Callum Wilson for now, because those two are running pretty close for P7 and then.
Yeah, he'll be gutted, but I think at the end of the day he also won't be. He started right down in pit lane. He started last in this race, and the fact that he's climbed all the way up to P7 in itself is very much a big achievement. So him missing out on the reverse grid pole, he's going to be gutted, but I don't think he's going to be kicking himself too hard about it. As we look here, Jason Osborne getting a move on Yaroslav Fides then for P number 11, late on the brakes into Lecombe. That's pretty much a textbook overtake, that one. Inside line, late on the brakes, command the corner, through you go. Very nice overtake.
Yeah, very nicely done, and we'll see the order change ever so slightly on this final tour of the circuit. Reda Halal getting close to the back of Jamie Potts as well, looking for a top 9, although these two should be finding themselves finishing inside the top 10 once again this season. Jamie Potts has 4 of those top 10 finishes with the best of P7 back at Istanbul. He won't be getting there tonight, or at least in this race, but we'll have to see if he can get a good launch in race number 2 and benefit his way up the order. Oh my word, that is a bit bold from Uhalal to get down the inside of Piff Path. Doesn't end up going for it with a good defence from Potts, but that got pretty close, and they will continue their battle in towards the final sector. While these two squabble though, we are coming to the final corner for Callum Cripps, who has just been in such a hot streak of form over the last few weeks. He's had 4 wins in 5. It's going to be 5 wins from 6 here for the driver who is in the best form of anybody in the championship, and he's going to be chasing down Luke Mitchell as we work our way in towards race number 2. It's Vakinov and then Mitchell who round off the podium, and Vakinov very pleased, I'm sure, to pick up what will be his 4th podium of the season. For Mitchell, it will be his 7th. Good result for him. He's going to stay in the championship lead.
Yeah, absolutely. I noticed on the timing there, Uhalal, Potts trading places, I think, in that final corner. They are side by side. You just saw it in the foreground. Papanopoulos 7th, Callum Wilson 8th. Who's in front? It's Uhalal in front of Potts, I believe. Yes, it is. 9th and 10th just about settled at the final corner. There comes Jordan Osborne next across the line. Fides, Zerwes then following him closely by as well.
Extraordinary race to kick us off here this evening. Callum Cripps picking up the full complement of 22 points with fastest lap, win and pole to boot, and he will close in just that little bit more in the championship. He will not overtake Gasper Mrak, which means that technically Luke Mitchell's championship lead has gone out to 34 points, and he's going to be feeling pleased as punched, I'm sure, about that. But there we go. Callum Cripps wins from Bobby Vakinov in 2nd and Luke Mitchell in 3rd. It was Ollie Kyan-Larty who finished in 4th, ahead of Alan Axon, who continued his great run of consistent performances in P5. Simon Trebek will be on reverse grid pole after finishing in P6. He was finishing just ahead of Antonis Paparinopoulos, who started from the pit lane, along with Callum Wilson and Reda Uhalal, who finished down in P9, along with our P10 runner, Jamie Potts, who rounds out the top 10 after that really exciting battle towards the end of the race. Jordan Osborne was 11th, ahead of Yaroslav Fides and David Zerwes for second and third. For 12th and 13th, it was Jason Taylor and John Pound, who were 14th and 15th, who did pick up the points for the position. Sadly, though, it was not to be for Samuel Newhouse, Gasper Mrak, Anton Tomenga, and Paul Amos, who were not able to finish the race. So we'll see how they can do in race number 2, but that will not be too far away. In the meantime, we were going to take a quick break, but don't go too far, and we will see for race number 2, which will see a very certain starting on pole, Simon Trebek, who hasn't been there so far this season, but what can he do as he starts on pole for the first time? Welcome back, everybody, to Francorchamp and to the T6TC Championship here for round 6 of 8 for our inaugural season on rFactor 2. Delighted that you can join us on the T6 Motorsport YouTube channel. Great to see all of you in the chat as well. Darragh Thacker, myself, along with Ashley Denman once again. Ashley, we're back for race number 2. Of course, we're going to have Simon Trebek starting on pole position. But really the battle, I think, is going to be between Luke Mitchell and Callum Cripps. Cripps knows he has to beat Mitchell in this race to really keep his championship hopes alive.
Yeah, absolutely does, and I know he's going to put up a good fight, that is for certain, but it's a good opportunity here for Simon Trebek on that reverse grid pole. It'll be interesting to see what he can do from that position. I'm just going to go over real quickly, Darragh, back from race number 1, those watching along, if you were watching for race number 1 as well, I went back, watched the footage. I think that lap 1 incident is tricky to call, but I think Marak maybe slightly over the curb, bit of a squeezing of cars, things like that, and that's what sort of, I think, caused the incident. But it will have no doubt go to stewards after the race, but that's what it looked like on the replay. And I also caught, Darragh, you calling Spa here the mountain, which I will always remember now.
Yes, I don't quite know how I've managed to call it a mountain. I think I was thinking about Bathurst for too long, and I don't really know why. But it's more of a hill here. The Ardennes, and you wouldn't call them a mountain range, would you? In eastern Belgium. Well, yeah, it was it is the Ardennes. Well, it's the region. You could call it the hilly region of the Ardennes, the Ardennes Forest. Hey, leave me alone. Either way, it is. There's some elevation change on this circuit, that's for sure. It's just not quite as steep as I had suggested. If we were at Spielberg at the Red Bull Ring, then I may be able to get away with calling it a mountain, but not here. Getting into this race though, with a couple of good results from the last race. Callum Cripps is now only 9 points behind Gasper Morak coming into this race, and with a far superior starting position. If it were to finish as it started, Callum Cripps would overtake Gasper Morak for P2 in the championship, despite having effectively done 2 rounds less when you consider that he only picked up 4 points at Imola and obviously wasn't here at Donington Park. So incredible run for Callum Cripps. For Morak though, he needs to get his way up the order as quickly as he can. For Mitchell, keeping Callum Cripps behind really is all he needs to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what he's going to set out to do, no doubt about it. If he can manage that, then he'll be laughing in a way, because with 2 rounds to go, only 4 races after this one, it is not many chances then to pick up good scoring points and closing that gap up. And like you said, it's effectively increased because of unfortunately we did lose Morak very early on in race number 1, and Callum Cripps was behind Morak before then, so he's closed in general, but of course Luke Mitchell has effectively increased his lead slightly. But we've got another race coming up here then very shortly, and that will once again change this championship, I'm sure.
And with only 5 races to go, including this one, every single race is going to be absolutely critical all the way to the end of the championship. I've just also seen that Rich, who of course is our wonderful owner and organisee of the league, is making fun of how tall I am, and it's just almost like having Zach Sweeney alongside me, so thank you to Rich behind the scenes for doing that. I am looking forward to this race though, coming into it. Of course, I've forgotten to mention the grid, but I will tell you, we don't actually have to show it necessarily, because I can tell you that we have got on the front row of the grid, it will be Simon Trebek and it will be Alan Axon. Ollie Kai and Larty and Luke Mitchell are on row number 2. Row number 3 is comprised of Bobby Vakinov and our race winner from race 1, Callum Cripps. Starting in P7, where he finished race 1, is Papranopoulos alongside Callum Wilson in P8. It'll be Raider Uhalal and Jamie Potts on row number 5, followed by Jordan Osborne and Yaroslav Fides, row 6, David Zervez and Jason Taylor on row 7. John Pound will be in P15 alongside Amos, Samuel Newhouse, Gasparak and Anton Termenga. Getting ready for the race start though here, Simon Trebek, can he do anything from the front of the field? We'll find out as we go green here at Spa. It's a good launch from him. Alan Axon looking for a couple of spots as well. Well, I say an only spot up towards turn 1. It was Gasparak looking for a couple of spots as they make their way into the opening turn. Papranopoulos squeeze to the inside line. Let's see if he can make his way through cleanly, as we do have a bit of a cleaner start through turn 1 than we had in race number number 1. Rack, it'll be fighting in behind with Ollie Kayanlati, the driver, making the move for P2, and Alan Axon, and sharply covering off that move as they rise through Eau Rouge and Radion. He's going to go for the lead, I think. He's got the run on Simon Trebek, and as they come up towards Lake Com, it's going to be side by side between Simon Trebek and Ollie Kayanlati. Kayanlati started P3, but no matter at all. He's already got past Alan Axon, he's already past Simon Trebek, and he's into the lead of the race.
Yeah, good start there from Kayanlati. We saw him have a look down towards the source of turn number 1. He did get past Axon very briefly, as that's Bobby Vaganov with a slight mistake, running wide into Lake Com. That's allowed Luke Mitchell through. Callum Cripps is now going side by side with him as well. And Bobby Vaganov on the back foot, down towards turn number 10. He's going to try and defend it ever so slightly there from Callum Cripps. Managed to get back in front, recovered it well, but that was a big slip up from Vaganov, and he did lose a position because of it.
Yeah, but not the kind of slip-ups that we've seen from race number 1. So the likes of Marak and Temenga being able to the opening sector cleanly, and this will be their first taste of racing action, proper racing action, so far tonight. Kayanlati, though, with an incredible launch and an incredibly important launch to get himself up into the lead. Interestingly enough, I was going to say Cripps is not getting a position, but another big slide from Bobby Vakinov loses out P5 for him, and here comes Callum Wilson. The two Callums were working in tandem in P5 and 7 for the time being, but Callum Cripps is not going to say no to that kind of position, and now he's right up behind his championship rival, Luke Mitchell.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be, I think, somewhat of a battle for this championship in a way. It's going to be between Mitchell and Cripps. I'm not writing off Gaspar Marak because he's actually up into 15th now. He's gained 3 positions from the start, but obviously he's in a different race here this evening, just based on what happened in the first one. And so now it is between Cripps and Mitchell, and if Cripps can come out on top, that's almost a big psychological blow then for Luke Mitchell, because it does really mean he is on the back foot going into the next couple of rounds, but at the moment he is still ahead in the controlling car. So we'll see how this unfolds as we are rounding off lap number 1. Kayanlati
will lead us away. I suspect that we will still get the same 11 laps that we had in race 1, even though we're not going to have maybe the same lightning pace of Callum Cripps at the front of the field. I don't think Kayanlati is going to be dropping 3 seconds a lap, so I think we should still get our full complement of 11. Here is Anton Temenga fighting his way through turn 1 with John Pound, who didn't have the best of races in race 1 and has got a couple of fast drivers up behind him. Gaspar Marak is already through. Temenga now through and up into P15. Anton Temenga losing a little bit of ground in the championship by not finishing race number 1, but he's still in P7. I think if he was to get into P7 by the end of this race, he'd be pretty pleased about how the race had gone.
Oh, absolutely. He'd be very happy with that indeed. That looks to be Vakinov trying to defend from Callum Wilson. That's Cripps' teammate then trying to get past him as well, as we're still looking at this battle here for P2, as Kayanlati is trying to pull away and create a little bit of a buffer between him and Alan Axon. Simon Trebek still holding pretty firmly in P3 there, and this is now a chance for Luke Mitchell down the inside of turn number 10, late on the brakes, and here comes Callum Cripps. He's going to try and take full advantage of that and follow him through. Good overtake.
Yeah, Cripps is doing everything he can to keep himself in championship contention, and that means keeping himself right up behind Luke Mitchell. Trebek becoming a little bit of a victim of his own success by having now dropping down the order. He wouldn't be dropping down the order in the same way if he wasn't on reverse grid pole, it's fair to say. So unlucky for Simon Trebek in one aspect, but at least he's in still a good position to try and pick up some good points in this race. And that was Papadopoulos riding the curb on the outside line, almost like he was trying to skateboard his way through the curb. Wide well from Kayanlati, you can see the dust being picked up as our race leader made his way towards the end of the second sector. But now Mitchell and Cripps are, merging on Alan Axon, and Axon's going to have to be looking in his mirrors thinking, oh my word, 2 of the fastest drivers in the series are right on my tail, and he's gone wide at the pull for air.
Yeah, just adding a little bit of insult to injury, that one, because he's now going to probably be a little bit under the cosh then towards Blanchimont, and more importantly, the bus stop chicane coming up now. He's definitely lost a little bit of ground to the likes of Luke Mitchell, Callum Cripps behind. I don't think we're going to see a move on here just yet, but Luke Mitchell just showing that front, the front of his car, in Axon's rear view mirror, just sort of saying we are here and probably coming through very shortly, but we can still see the battle here raging on between Bobby Vakinov and Callum Wilson for P6.
Yeah, everybody far more compact than they were in race 1 after the couple of little incidents, we'll call them, on the opening lap of race number 1. But it's good to see these trains forming and these good little moves and little battles forming as we work our way down in towards Lakecombe for what will be the 3rd time in this race. Wilson sitting one on the back of Bobby Bakinov, who has had his fair share of the moments in this race so far, who will be a little bit worried, I'm sure, on holding on to his P6. Jordan Osborne, though, looking to get past Jason Taylor, who's up into the top 10, and another very good start from Taylor. He was up 8 in race 1, he's up 5 in race 2, but now he's going to maybe suffer a little bit as some very fast drivers are coming up behind. Gaston being one of them. Big contact. That's going to be Callum Wilson coming down the order after a contact with Simon Tribeck as they work their way through. He bounces his way back onto the circuit. Miracle that he's not hit anybody. Vakinov's gone wide. A little bit of break needed from Callum Wilson, and through comes Papadopoulos. Drama on lap number 3.
That was quite some rejoin there from Callum Wilson. Like you said, very shocked he never caused contact with that rejoin, but fair play, managed to slot it in quite nicely, like the extra Tetris piece that you want to get rid of, and fair play because he did it quite marvellously. But here comes Vaganov. He's managed to now get past Simon Trebek then for P number 5, so Trebek still on the back foot. This is where he finished the last race in P6, so I wonder if he can hang on to this one then to the very end. But also in the last race he did have Papadopoulos closing him down in the ending stages, so it could be a slight different, fortune for him. But he's still holding quite strongly here. I wouldn't say he's really dropping like a stone. It's just, I think the faster guys, they've obviously been moved behind him with the reverse grip, and they're just filing their way through.
Yeah, it's one David in the sector, but absolute drama in the opening sector, and Paul Vakinov, part of it. Simon Trebek now just in behind. Luke Mitchell and Callum Cripps, mind you, have been run on the back of Alan Axon for a little while now. They've not really made any kind of impression into that 6/10 gap, and Mitchell is having to stay where he is for the time being. Still 80 minutes on the clock, still a long way to go in this second race of the evening as we work our way in towards the bus stop chicane. No move between these 5 as they run through the corn. But yeah, difficult couple of moments for all of these guys. They've managed to come out the other side. I could see in the background though, Gasper Morak, yeah, we'll go back to this quickly, getting through on David Zervez down in towards turn number 1, and he's now on the battle, right on the back of the battle I should say, between Taylor and Osborne into turn number 1.
Yeah, it's funny, my eyes were kind of averted to this little battle in the background of the car we were riding before, because I think there was about 4 of them trying to go side by side into the bus stop. We've got Jordan Osborne here in 11th, Gaston Morak right behind him, and David Zerwes behind him as well. But Taylor still leading this little group, and he, like we said earlier, he's had a very good start once again. It's just a matter of whether he can hang on to these positions and try and pick up some good points here in race number 2. Being a bit of a tall order, particularly with the likes of Gaspar Morak behind you. We know he is a championship contender. I say that though, he's losing a position here to David Zerwes. Up the inside goes Zerwes into Lakecombe, and that is Gaspar Morak down to 13th.
Zerwes put a dark sim racing. I think the mood for Gaspar Morak right now is probably going to be quite dark, being down in P13, currently only picking up 3 points in this race for the time being. Callum Cripps will be picking up 13, and that would mean that Cripps would overtake Gasper Morak in the championship if things were to finish as they are. Cripps, of course, would be still losing out to Luke Mitchell, whose championship advantage, mind you, would be growing out if things were to stay as they are to 45. But they're not going to stay as they are because Mitchell is going around the outside of Piff Path. He's gone very deep though. He's very much offline. It's going to be a better run through the corner for Alan Axon. And look at Callum Cripps just trying to sneak his way, maybe try to pick up the pieces if these two come to blows in the final sector of the lap as they run their way through to the end of sector number 2 in towards Paul Frere. And Luke Mitchell is still right on the back of Alan Axon, yes, but Callum Cripps is just as close, if not ever so much closer, to the back of Luke Mitchell as they run towards Blanchimont. We don't see many moves to the inside here, but I think Cripps is going to make it work for him. The 2 championship contenders right now are going side by side, and it's Callum Cripps who comes out on top. He's got the advantage. Can he get P2 now as well?
Yeah, let's see if he can make a move for it. Axon goes defensive, as you would expect, to hold on to that P2. But up and under goes Callum Cripps. He's going to be on the outside then, around the very final corner. Can he get the traction out of it? It looks like he is going to get it done. He's going to have the inside line then for the source of turn 1. Can Luke Mitchell try and follow him through on Alan Axon? I don't think he's going to be able to, because they touch. There's door banging through the source. Callum Cripps on the inside still gets the position done. And now Luke Mitchell with the run down towards El Rouge and Radion.
Yeah, the door banging absolutely helping out Luke Mitchell to get back through and up into P3. But can he now get past Callum Cripps? He's going to have to slipstream all the way towards Lake On. Maybe not the best of runs, though, as they rise over the crest of Radion. They'll come now down this long Camel straight. Is he close enough? I don't think he is to make a move. I actually think Alan Axon may be the one to try and make his move past and back up into P3, as they will get onto the brakes pretty shortly. Now turning in, and Callum Cripps is into P2. That championship margin I was talking about, yeah, it's changed, but even so, Mitchell will still lead the championship by 41 with 2 rounds to go if things were to stay as they are.
Well, that's quite a big advantage to him, but yeah, fair play. He's putting all the work in early on, and he's now trying to just hang on to it in these closing stages. But Callum Cripps absolutely showing us why he is that championship material stuff, because he has got past his rival of Luke Mitchell in all of that, as well as making the move on Alan Axon in the process. So both these cars finding their way through and fighting very hard on circuit. It's brilliant to see. You know you've got some good racing when your heart rate's elevated, you're leaning back and forth in your chair, you can't get close enough as there's 3 wide potentially into Pouon. This is David Zerwes trying to get a move done.
Yeah, Pouon is an unforgiving corner, but it's forgiven all of these guys for trying to go side by side, as David Zerwes looks like he's trying to keep himself in contention with Jordan Osborne, but Maraki is very much getting away. For Gasper Maraki, needs to get through on Jason Taylor as soon as possible, because he's got a 4.5 second gap to bridge if he wants anything else towards the back end of the top 10. So keep an eye out for that. And Simon Tribeck, who started on pole, he finished in P6 in race 1. He's already down to P8, but he is fighting away with Paparanopoulos and Callum Wilson in the middle train for P6, which is getting quite close, it's fair to say.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is where the sort of true pace of Simon Tribeck potentially is. However, he is still very much in contention here for P6 with these two. Paparanopoulos, Callum Wilson. Wilson going to have to try and go to that slight defensive line, but does ease over to the racing line to open it up to try and get a faster line through. No changes then on the bus stop chicane. Will we see a move then down towards the source of turn number 1 potentially? But never mind, we're going to jump back to this. Gaspar Marac on Jason Taylor does get the move done into the bus stop. Now Taylor's going to be coming under threat from David Zerwes behind, and even Osborne behind him. They're going to be side by side into the source, and I think Taylor is just going to try and fend him off. He had that inside line, went for the defensive strategy, and it's paid off just at the moment.
Gaspar Marac now leading this big long train all the way down to P17, so a couple of drivers in this train at the moment missing out on any points at all. So Marac will be running away at the front. I was going to say Jason Taylor's going to have to try and run away with him, but David Zerwes, oh my word, that's wide out of Radion, and David Zerwes, regardless, going to be able to get that move done. Keep an eye out for Jordan Osborne, though. He's got the run on both of them. Can he find a way past 1 and 2? He's going to have to go around the outside. If there's even a gap, he's going to be side by side with David Zerwes down in towards Lake Calm. He's got Anton Temenga riding his rear wheel as well, and Anton Temenga going around the outside at the first part. Can he get that one done? No. He's going to have to sit away behind for yet another opportunity to rise. But Anton Temenga trying the up and under. Bruce Hells could be a chance. Careful, because Yaroslav Vai's on the rear end as well.
Yeah, they're just trying to sit behind and watch the carnage potentially unfold, these two at the very back. That's Fides and I believe Pound on the rear end of this train. Actually, I think Potts is also there as well, just keeping them all company as they fire their way through No Name Corner down towards Pouon. This is quite a big battle really for sort of that 11th position. All of these cars could absolutely take it should they get the right run and turn of pace, if you like, to get some moves done. But Jason Taylor, he's doing his utmost to really try and hang on to as many points as he can. He got the positions early. Fair play to him as well for making them, and now he's just trying to hang on.
Yeah, just giving everything he can to stay where he is, or maybe progress his way up the order, because David Zerwes is struggling, and some flashing of the lights as well. So clearly a little bit of conflict between them. Maybe in a VC somewhere, if they're in separate VCs. I'm sure someone's getting an earload at the moment. But still 10 minutes to go in this race. We should have another 5 laps remaining. Zerwes is going to go side by side. A little bit of contact in towards Blanchimont, and it's just a little bit tricky as they work their way in towards the bus stop chicane, because now they're 3 wide. Yaroslav Bides on the outside, he's into the grass. Oh, he's not going to rear end our driver of Anton Temenga, but David Zerwes is looking to try and get back past him, because Temenga somehow made it all the way around the outside. And there's in the background, that's going to be John Pound trying to make a move somewhere, as it's all kicking off. Drivers all over the road, and these aren't for any points even. 16th and 17th going side by side. It's all for P15 inside line for Yaroslav Bides. Is that nose on its pots, looking to get into P16, and he does. Now looking for 15th on John Pound.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's for points or not. These guys just love the thrill of racing first and foremost, and then of course if you can pick up points and get yourself towards the top end of the championship. Brilliant stuff. Jamie Potts going side by side. Prue, El Rouge and Radion there with Pound, and they're still going to be side by side now down the Kemmel Straight. Who's going to get the best sort of drag strip down into Lake Com? Who's got more horsepower under the hood? Who's got the less slippy car in terms of drag? Late on the brakes is JB Potts into Lake Com, and just about stays ahead of Pound then. Oh god, this is intense stuff, and we've still got 9 minutes left.
Yeah, when you don't get any kind of little incident off the start, it's the kind of racing you can see at Spa in these little touring cars. Fantastic to watch. And we've still got 9 minutes to go. Bobby Vakinov losing the rear end in towards Buon. The rear end goes. He just kept it more on the circuit than Alan Axon did. I don't quite know how that's possible, but Vakinov stays in 5th. All of a sudden, though, say hello to Wilson, Papadopoulos and Trebek, because they're on the rear end of the car.
Yeah, absolutely. That was another race and another impressive slide that we've just seen being saved. Because if that was me, I did it earlier. I went round. I couldn't save it. I don't know how he managed to do that, because that, again, some serious car control from these guys, and that is also why they are so quick racing in these cars as well, even at different various circuits, just proving their skill time and time again, because that's what separates sort of the good from the great. I will put myself in the lower category there, because yeah, I would have absolutely lost it on that one.
Bobby Vakinov, almost, you know, I don't even know the word, but incredible hold for him through Pouon. Absolutely stunning. Oh, and again, someone losing the rear end of the background. Who is that? I think that's Simon Trebek, sliding all the way into the corner. It's almost like there's a competition of who can have the biggest slide and save tonight, because it really is looking like a case of survival for a couple of these drivers as they work their way around this Francorchamp circuit. 4 laps to go then, and Papadopoulos giving a bit of a love tap on the back of Callum Wilson's not going to help out his cause, because Simon Trebek is now sitting right on the rear end. Can't even see the front end of his car. There it is.
Just about seeing it there. I'm keeping my eye on the tower as well. Cripps is right up and under Kyan Larty, 3/10 of a second between those two. He's pulled away from Luke Mitchell as well, but we're still focused on this battle here for P number 7. This is Simon Trebek, Papadopoulos going at it then. Papadopoulos the defender, and Simon Trebek the attacker up towards Lake Com after this Kemmel Straight. Will we see any moves? Not on this occasion. A little bit too much daylight between the two cars as they file their way through Lake Com and then make their way down the hill once again. I will repeat that, down the hill, Darragh, not the mountain.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you. Forgotten again. Anyway, yeah, Callum, I'm not going to be able to let that one go, am I? Callum Cripps is in the hunt. He really is in the hunt. Olli Karjanlahti has been a decent driver so far this season. A couple of incidents have really let him down. He had that win back in Imola, which has really kept him up in the top 10 of the championship so far this season, and he'd love a second. It will close the gap on Temenka and Papadopoulos and Vakinov for the top 5. But Callum Cripps wants a championship, and if he wants to get anywhere near close enough to Luke Mitchell, he has to make a move for the lead and make it pretty soon. There's only a handful of laps to go.
Yeah, not long left now, just over 6 minutes. I think we will get that 11-lap mark. It's going to be a bit touch and go. I don't think Kyan Larty's quite had the pace that Cripps had in that first one, particularly when he got such a clean getaway. But these two, or should I say 3 drivers here, they're having a little bit of a battle then for P12. That is going to be Jason Taylor, Temenga, David Zerwes having a little bit of partying fun here as they make their way through the chicane and towards Stabilo then, and about to get onto the back straight and up towards Blanchimont. At the moment though, David Zerwes at the back of this little trio, Jason Taylor doing his best to try and defend from Temenga at the same time.
years, and we'll have to see how they can make their way in towards Blanchimont and the bus stop chicane once again. Of course, we really are now ticking down towards the closing couple of laps here. I almost don't want it to end. It's been some incredible action so far tonight, and incredibly important for the championship as well. So we'll have to see how this finishes, but oh no, drive through for Jason Taylor. He's going to have to come into the pit lane and serve. That's going to take him out of contention, but also promote John Pound into a points paying position towards the back of this train, and he wouldn't mind getting a point for his troubles tonight. Back up to the front though, Kyan Larty, Cripps out towards the Camel Straight, and Kyan Larty is really under pressure. Cripps is in the slipstream. Is he going to go to the outside? I think he's going to have to, because Ollie is defending the inside line for all he's worth. It's going to be a send, is it, around the outside for our championship contender Callum Cripps. A little bit of contact, door banging through the middle of the corner, but Kyan Larty will hold on. Cripps is going to have to try and find somewhere else, but he's got another couple of laps to do so.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of time, but it is ticking away fast. That was some good defensive driving from Ollie there to retain the lead. But all of this battling does close the gap between Cripps and Mitchell in third place. That's going to slowly disappear, that little bit of daylight and fresh air between them. The longer this goes on for, if Cripps is going to try and get away from Luke Mitchell, he really needs to get this move done quicker, obviously sooner rather than later. Otherwise he's going to become a bit under pressure once again. But it does mean we'd get a three-way battle for the lead. I can't help but really want it, to be honest, but it's still good at this moment.
Yeah, I think Callum Cripps wouldn't mind it being a two-car battle, especially if he can get through, and then we see Ollie Kanyalati be able to defend for P2, because it would give Callum Cripps those extra couple of points. The fastest lap in his back pocket could be crucial as well. Going to be an extra point in his column. At the moment, the best it could be for Callum Cripps, if he was to overtake Ollie Kanyalati, Luke Mitchell was to stay in P3, that championship gap would close to 37 points. But I mean, Callum Cripps will feel like that's 37 too many, with only 4 more races and 2 rounds to go. It'll be 37 points with only, what's that, 82 points. 80, no, that's wrong. 90 points. 90 points up for grabs. There we go, quick maths, although it took me a little while. 90 points up for grabs towards the end of the season. It's not really going to feel like enough, I don't think, quite frankly, running towards the end. And I mean, he's got to do everything he can. Winning out will be the most important thing, but Luke Mitchell doing what he's doing for the time being is enough. Cripps though, outside line at turn 1. Kyan Larty committed to defending the inside line, but he's got no answer, because I think Cripps has walked around the outside, has he? Not quite. Ollie Kyan Larty still has just about half a car length ahead, but the problem for him now will be that Callum Cripps is alongside and pulling ahead down the straight towards Orucho Marion. Callum Cripps takes the lead, commitment personified. He is in a fantastic position to gain more points for the championship.
Yeah, very nice move indeed. Of course, that all started right from the bus stop chicane. He sort of tried to straighten up the car a bit quicker than Ollie Kyan Larty into that final corner, or should I say the exit of it, and then that gave him the run towards Le Source, and we saw how it all unfolded from there. So no, it was all in the making. Good move from Callum Cripps, and he now leads this race, I believe. They are going to hit one more, aren't they? This is going to be more touch and go than it was last time, whether they get that final lap in or not, or whether this is the final one. But I think they should just about do it. Either way, there's still battling happening wherever you look, because Alon Axon is under threat once again from Bobby Vakinov here for P4 as they file their way through No Name Corner, turn number 11, and really dart down the hill towards Pouon. This could be on for Vakinov.
I am willing to put pretty much everything I know on the fact that we're getting one more lap. They should cross with about 25 seconds to go, so they could easily make it, which means these guys battling over P4 have got an extra lap to settle their differences. Bobby Vakinov looking to go around the outside at fifth path. Can he make this one work? Alan Axton not got too much to say about it for the time being, and Bobby Vakinov, he's had his little moments, but he looks like this time he's going to be able to get his way up into P4. Careful though, because Callum Wilson wouldn't mind an extra position or two. He, of course, was spun around in the opening turn in race number 1 and is still recovering from that. Another note to make, I've just seen Gaspar Marax dropping down the order. Disaster for him for the time being. But in this battle, Vakinov goes wide, Papranopoulos goes wide. They're 2 by 2 pretty much as they run their way towards Blanchimont. This is incredible action on the penultimate lap here at Spa. Who's going to come out on top? Careful as well, because that's Simon Trebek in the background after he started on pole. He's getting back into this fight for P4.
Yeah, absolutely. Noah would be proud as they march towards his arc, but they have sorted themselves out a little bit here towards the bus stop chicane. Vakinov, out on top, but they're still not done with this. Oh, there's contact though. Contact. That's Vakinov slightly round. That was a little touch there from Callum Cripps, and that has allowed Axon to just sweep around the outside, get away. But this has allowed Trebek into the fight.
They're 4 wide into turn number 1, 2 on the left, 2 on the right. Who's going to come out on top? Paparinopoulos with a triple overtake nearly, making it work, but he doesn't, because back up the inside comes Bobby Vakinov, and back up the inside comes Callum Wilson on Paparinopoulos. He's got a slowdown penalty though, it seems, and he will lose the position, not just to Paparinopoulos, but to Simon Trebek as well. They'll rise up the hill for the final time. And what an ending to this race between this little group of cars. It looked for all the world that it was going to be a great little move for Paparinopoulos, but the up and under working for a couple of drivers, and we see Vakinov back inside the top 5 again.
Yeah, absolutely. I still don't think this race is done yet, in the sense of I think these guys might switch it around a little bit more. You can see there Trebek really riding close to the back of Paparinopoulos into Lake Com. This could Constantina once again between these 4, and that is Vakinov, Paparinopoulos, Trebek and Callum Wilson. I think Axon might just about get away with it, as there is a slight bit of daylight between him and Vakinov there in P5, but then it's going to be telling in these next few corners if these guys really do start to battle it out, because they are quite quick and fast. And oh, that's wide from Vakinov, almost hit the wall.
I don't know how he's not been able to, or he's not hit the wall there. I know how he's able to hit the wall. It's panic, sheer panic, as he makes his way through No Name. Here comes Paparinopoulos through Puon, the double left-hander. Can he get close enough to make a move into Biff Path? I'm not sure that he can. Axon looks like he's got a little bit of breathing room as they come towards this little chicane, but he's still going for it here. Oh no! Oh.
I was going to say he slammed the door in his face, and that just nudged Paparinopoulos into the back of Vakinov. They've both held onto the car quite magnificently there through Piffpath, and now they come through Stavolo for the final time, and this final straight is going to really tell if there's going to be a move on into the bus stop. It's all about the exit then of this corner. Can you get a good run down this back straight? I think Axon is safe. It's a case of whether Vakinov can hold off Paparinopoulos in the closing corners, as Cripps is coming up to the bus stop now.
Yeah, so while these guys battle, here is the battle for the lead. Callum Cripps, he's been on such a hot run of form. It's now going to be 6 wins in 7. The other was a P2. Incredible run from Callum Cripps. He wins here at Spa. He's done the double, and it's the second time he's done a double so far this season. Kyan Larty Mitchell, a 2nd and 3rd. Axon holds off Vakinov for 4th and 5th. Paparinopoulos can't quite get in, but Trebek from pole goes to 7th. Wilson ends up 8th. And Uhalal and Osborne will round out the top 10. What a dramatic race.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was far more action-packed than the first one. Of course, we had that incident in the early lap which changed the course of it. This time, they were all able to go for it right to the very end. It's been impressive stuff from these guys. It's brilliant to see them go back at it, up and under, side by side, you name it, we've seen it this evening. And what a performance these guys have put on, as David Zerwas to the line, Jason Taylor very close behind him. Here comes Samuel, Amos and Fides then rounding out the finishers here for this championship. What a race we just witnessed. That was incredible.
Yeah, absolutely insane, quite frankly. I think there was a little bit of confusion there at the end of the race, because I think Callum Wilson disconnected, or he just left the session early, but he still listed as P10, so that's fine. So there we go. Here are the results from race number 2. Callum Cripps, winner again. He has won so many points over the last 7 races. Mind you, if you win the race 7 times, you get 140 points. He has won 144 in 7 races. Incredible stuff from Callum Cripps. Ollie Kyan Larty was second, ahead of Luke Mitchell, championship leader, who picks up his third in a row. Alan Axon was 4th, ahead of Bobby Vakinov, who, they were involved in that big battle towards the end, kept himself in 5th. Antonius Paparinopoulos, Simon Trebek, who started on pole, and Callum Wilson. Raider Uhalal and Jordan Osborne were on their own for a little while in 9th and in 10th. 11th, it was Anton Temenga, and in 12th, Gasper Marak, who now drops to 3rd in the championship after leading the opening rounds. It'll be Jamie Potts in 13th. It gets a little bit hazy there. Jamie Potts in 13th. 14th will go to John Pound, and 15th will go to David Zervas. The final finishers, of course, being Taylor, Samuel Newhouse, Amos, and Fides. But incredible evening's worth of racing here, Ashley. I don't quite know how to wrap this one up, if I'm honest.
I'm not too sure either. I'm going to just quickly go through the team standings as well, because that is also important in this. Of course, you've got Cripps and Wilson are a team. They finished very well there again, and they will continue commanding that team championship. Marac's going to lose out, I believe, now to Trebek and Axon for that second spot. So he was second in 2 championships, and after this evening, I think he's going to be third in both as well. It's a shame, but it's such a shame. It is just such a shame. I have no other word for it.
It is, and I have updated our points from tonight from the results we've got, and Luke Mitchell will go into the Saxons Curve provisionally with a 37-point lead in the championship. Gasper Marac has dropped to third behind Callum Cripps, and we only have Alan Axon and Bobby Vakinov, who are mathematically the shot of winning the championship. Realistically, they're out of it, but still, mathematically, we've got 5 drivers fighting for it. Papranopoulos has dropped to 6th. Oli Kayanlati risen to 7th. Temenga, after his struggles, has dropped down to 8th. Good days for Simon Trebek and Raider Uhalal, particularly along with Jordan Osborne. They picked up some of their best, evening results of the season. But going into the penultimate round next week, actually, the Saxons Curve, going to be an interesting one, and so much on the line for these drivers.
Yeah, absolutely is. It's traditionally sort of a moto for motorbikes, the circuit itself, but they do have, of course, DTM's touring cars go around as well, and it's a circuit that not many people are familiar with in the grand scheme of racing. So I'm actually very excited to head there because I'm such a fan of the motorbikes now as well, and I really want to see some cars go around it and see how that ends up. But it's going to be an interesting one because it's quite a weird circuit in a way. A lot of the first sort of sectors, or the first 2, you're pretty much turning left. There's not many right-handers on it. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to throw up a curveball for some of these drivers.
Yeah, it's almost like 2 circuits in one, isn't it? You're basically having a lovely time rotating your way through the opening half of the lap, and then by the time you get to turn 10, 11, it's a couple of straights and a couple of corners towards the end of the lap. But I'm incredibly looking forward to it. Delighted that you've been able to join us again tonight. Ashley, can't wait for next week where we will be at the Saxon Ring. We hope that you will join us as well here on the T6 Motorsport YouTube channel. Our thanks, of course, to our sponsors at Phoenix Sim Racing and at Nerd PC, who make these broadcasts possible, and some of the prizes that we will really get into in the next couple of weeks. But also thanks to Rich Weatherall, who makes all of this possible here on a Monday night for Bracket 2, a Tuesday night for Bracket number 1, and of course the Super Touring Championship, which will happen on Sunday. You won't want to miss it. We'll see you then. But we'll be back next week, myself and Ashley, for the penultimate round of the T6 TC Championship at the Saxons Ring.